So to be honest with you, it seems that Trump has more faith in the black community than I do. And that's sad. Oh my goodness. So guys, I'm sure you've seen it by now, but I personally just got around to seeing the Don Lemon and LeBron James interview. And you know what? My knee-jerk reaction would be to be upset. Be like, I can't believe, he's saying this and all that and just lying on national TV. And doesn't he know he's a role model and all that? But I think it's gotten to the point in time where, I'm not upset. I'm just sad. You know what? It's kind of like when you do something horrible and your parents are just looking at you and you're just thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to get a lashing of a lifetime. And then they don't do anything, but they just look at you and they're like, you know what? I'm not upset at you. I'm just disappointed. And you're just standing there like, oh, what have I become? but I have to be honest, because that's how it feels, because you have Don Lemon, who has this pompous, arrogant look on his face throughout the entire interview, and, he sets up this question, he just gives him a softball, just like, what would you say to Trump if he was, sitting sitting across from you? And of course, LeBron gives a little snide remark, talking about how you would never sit, across from Trump, but he's like, I would sit next to Obama.
What would you say to the president if he's sitting right here?
I would never sit across from him.
You would never? You didn't want to talk to him?
Nah. I sit across from Barack, though.
I'm just looking at this guy. I'm just like, you two are clowns. You are clown number one, and you are clown number two. It's gotten to the point where you're asking yourself, I'm asking myself, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of, like, the movement or the walk away movement? Because, I'm thinking to myself, like, or is the black community, is it done? Is it really done? Is it past the point of no return? Because if you look, for example, when Trump meets with, the black pastors or whatnot, and you have the media talking about pro-Trump pastor talks about how Trump is the most pro-black president ever. I'm just like, why is he a pro-Trump pastor? When was there ever, I'd never seen a headline that said pro-Obama pastor, and I'm just like, people are going to read this and be like, And it's this subliminal messaging that is just propaganda. When Trump met with the other black leaders, what did Mark Lamont say? He called them mediocre Negroes. And it's like the man can't win. And it gets to the point in time where it's like you get upset. You really get upset because it's like, what do you want from him? What do you want from the man? The man has done so much. He got the Ellis Island Award, but he's a racist. He's a Nazi, but his daughter is now Jewish. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, all the stuff you want to say, he's anti-immigration, he hates immigrants. I'm like, his wife is an immigrant. Like, what are you talking about? So one thing you guys have to understand, it's completely night and day from hearing, a white person talk to me and say, how do you support him? How do you believe that? And blah, blah, blah. Or having any other race, ask me questions or throw names at me. It's a little more personal when you have your own people calling you pejoratives and throwing, just racial and slavery terms at you, because it's like, we on the same team. We part of the same family. I'm not trying to harm you. I'm not trying to tell you can't do something. I'm not saying that you're not having any struggle. I'm not dismissing white supremacy or that there's racist people out there or that there's Nazis out there. My whole thing is to tell you that in spite of that, you can still be a victor. It becomes disparaging after a while. That's honestly the only word that I can say is that it becomes disparaging. It gets to the point that you no longer want to associate or discuss with your own people. Because it's like, you're an ignorant. And I know you're going to spit off all the talking points that you've heard on CNN, MSNBC, knowing damn well you have yet to do any due diligence and look into all that. But you just regurgitate what you hear. And to tell you the truth, I've had the same discussion, the same conversation with other black friends of mine. And they're just like, some of them have just said deuces. They're like, I've tried talking to people. I've tried telling them what you should do and how you do this and how you start a business and becomes a successful. And they're like, they don't want to listen. So I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time because I know my time is too valuable to waste on ignorance. They just completely given up. And I'm like, I get that, but I don't want to become that jaded. I don't want to get there, but it's hard not to. It's hard not to, because you're trying to tell someone, hey, that's not true. And they're telling you, nuh-uh, so-and-so said so. And I think that's the real brutality of this whole issue, is that not only do we have to fight the media and the shines that the white liberals put in positions of power, because now they have positions of power, now they have clout. Now that drowns out anyone else who's saying anything contrary to the narrative. But on top of that, we have people within the own community. You have the Al Sharptons, the Jesse Jackson, the Tariq Nasheeds. You can go on and on. People who actually exploit their own. Like, how do you talk to someone who believes that the world is dominated by white supremacy? That no matter what you do, it's dominated by white supremacy. That you can't get a job because the boss is a suspected white supremacist. Like, how do you talk to someone like that who's listening to these clowns? Because you're so focused on trying to tell them, hey, that's not true, that you neglect yourself. And I was talking to a friend. He was like, I'm not doing it anymore. He's like, if they want to believe that and live under that world, fine. Let them stay in the matrix. I'm going to do me and keep it pushing. And I'm just like, I get that. But I'm also like, yo, at the same time, like, these are people. Like, you can't just let them just rot. And he's like, why? They'd let me rot. They in a heartbeat, they would beat me to a bloody pulp if I said the wrong thing. And I'm just like, yeah, but come on. No matter what he does, it's always seen from this lens of white supremacy. Oh, he's just doing that to make it look like he wants to help us. Oh, he's just doing that to make it look like he wants to do this. I'm just like, at what point in time, does he actually want to help? But you know what? After having some discussions with friends and family, I think I've come to an epiphany. I've had an epiphany. And what that epiphany is just like the scripture says, not everyone is going to heaven. Not everyone is going to be reached. Not everyone is going to be converted. Not everyone is going to listen what you have to say. And coming from the sales background that I have, that makes sense. Because you're not going to sell everyone who comes in the door. It's just not going to happen. But guess what? You may not get that person, but that person may know someone who will be sold. And that person may have a bigger congregation or a bigger social circle than the person you were talking to. So I think you have to know your audience, know who you're talking to, because you talk to someone and they're just spitting off just stuff that you know they don't know what they're talking about. Like even the words that they use, just like, yo, that's not even a word. So I think what it's come down to is prioritizing your time, knowing that if the person is willing to hear what you're saying, or is willing to give you feedback on what you say and have a positive and fruitful discussion, or if the person is just completely dead. It's falling on deaf ears, everything. You can't even get a sentence out with, but what about this, but that. And it's just like, leave that person alone. Because you can be talking to them him or her for over 2 hours and not get anywhere. And we all know those people. And for those of you who are in sales who have your own business, we all have those customers who it's like, yo, they are more of a hassle than the ROI they have. The return on investment of me putting in time with this customer, he's taking more than given. And I think that's what the solution is. Anyways, guys, that's a video. Let me know what you guys think, whether or not you believe, hey, Lucas, don't give up yet. Anyways, guys, that's a video. Let me know what you guys think, whether or not you believe, hey, Lucas, don't give up yet. There's still hope for the black community. There's still hope. Or if you happen to believe, you know what, you do make a good point. Either or. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. Exploit their own.